And when I'm wrong, that's when we really find out what's going on with the stock, because that's when I kind of dive down deeper into it, right? But much like everybody does in the charting area, you kind of get obsessed with it.
Sure.
But to lead down that path, right, I'm able to use that same pattern of finding these stocks with a multitude of stocks, right? And I've just been blessed over the past year in the small group that we have. We do charting sessions, and we've called 31 plays. Out of those 31 plays, we've hit on 30 of them, with the 31 that we missed actually being the biggest gainer of the year 2 weeks later. And this is a week over week thing, right? So it takes a lot to be, accurate, that much.
Yeah. My name is Michael Guy, and I'm here live at the NASDAQ in New York City, celebrating the launch of the Granite Shares Yield Boost Fund family, the Tesla TSYY ETF being the first one to come out. I'm actually really excited for this conversation. We'll be interviewing all kinds of different financial advisors and thought leaders, and we actually ran a sweepstakes, that was done online on social media. And the gentleman here, Mr. Norris Powell, ended up winning, so we flew him out as part of the celebration here. And I happen to have chatted with you in the past, so I'm familiar with your background, and I'm a big fan of the way you think about markets.
Right.
So I want you to talk through sort of your journey from being somebody who was not involved in trading, not involved in investing, to somebody who now is building a following, building an audience, and putting out ideas.
Okay, so if I must start from the very, very beginning, my background started with my grandfather, who always used to beat it into me, stock market this, stock market that, much kind of like your father did with yourself, right? And, you hear it so much, it almost comes a part of you, right? Yeah. So even if you don't take that venture right off, right? So myself, I went to college at Hines Community College and then to Jackson State for financial background. After, graduating from those colleges, I took my journey into banking, regular professional banking and commercial banking with some credit unions in the area and stuff like that. And what we were able to do, or what brought me into taking it a little bit more serious, is managing 401ks, Roths, and things of that nature. Having to understand, what it takes to build those portfolios, to kind of, stabilize, growth at the same time, allow it to mature in different ways, like diversifying it, of course. So after I was able to, work on that in that particular manner, I kind of ventured off a little bit and started doing my own studies outside of what they were be able to provide me, at those facilities. After I began to get into the venture of learning how to chart and everything, and gained a little bit of love for it, because you have to have love to stare at something. I don't stare at my wife that much. After looking at the charts and things of that nature and finding my own path, I found a couple of high conviction plays. Those plays turned out to be very, very lucrative to the point where, I could actually leave that job. And after doing such, you do always try to, inform people, and everyone doesn't receive it the same. Yeah. So I tried to find ways that innovative ways that I could get people interested into, getting into the market, by, posting a few videos, finding things that people may find interest in, when I say interest, I'm talking about tangible things in the beginning, right? Sparking their interest and stuff like that. So as I was able to do that, I was able to get people to start investing into those things, which kind of turned into a passion to where we are right now, to where I give the story to, I like to find things like tools, like if you think about in the gold rush time, gold rush era, a lot of people made a lot of money during that time, right? And I give people this perspective. A lot of people became millionaires during that time, right? A lot of people were able to build businesses off the gold they found. But what do you think the most lucrative business that was built during that time? What do you think it was?
That's a good question. You tell me now. I'm learning from you. Come on.
Hey, man, the person that actually, built the business on creating shovels.
Yeah, the picks and shovels.
Right. So a lot of people, when they hear that story, they have
basically talk about NVIDIA. That's what you're talking
about. Right. So that it'll come around to that, right? So when I was going over some studying for NVIDIA, I actually caught the eye of Taiwan Semiconductors, right? They caught my eye, what was happening around that, right? And when I got into the lab, or that's what I call the area where I study it, right? When I got into the lab, I began to look around to try to find some stocks that actually could take the place of Taiwan Semiconductors, since they were one of the majority, distributors of, chips in America. Seeing that we were going to a lot of electrical things like cars,
Sure.
and the computers processors being, updated, you're looking at all of the laptops, you see the little NVIDIA logo on it. People are asking, what's NVIDIA? When I was trying to explain it to them, nobody really knew what it was, right? And this is prior to the split, right? This is prior to the big move. When everyone was talking Tesla, I actually was mentioning to the people in my circle, hey man, I think we need to go to NVIDIA, much like the gold rush,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
Same like that. So we began to get into it, and I remember getting into the journey early. I was losing, man. I was losing because, just averaging into it, but I had to stay strong with my conviction because there were other plays that had the same setup that I used that I was able to find this play with, right?
And that's right, but did you find that as you were going through those periods of losses that your conviction was being tested, or did you get even more convinced? Like, no, I'm going to be right. The market's wrong.
That's my attitude.
That's the attitude.
That's my attitude, right? So, and when I'm wrong, that's when we really find out what's going on with the stock, because that's when I kind of dive down deeper into it, right? But much like everybody does in the charting area, you kind of get obsessed with it.
Sure.
But to lead down that path, right? I'm able to use that same pattern of finding these stocks with a multitude of stocks, right? And I've just been blessed over the past year in a small group that we have. We do charting sessions, and we've called 31 plays. Out of those 31 plays, we've hit on 30 of them, with the 31 that we missed actually being the biggest gainer of the year 2 weeks later. And this is a week over week thing, right? So it takes a lot to be, accurate, that much.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what allowed me to gain the following that I've had, the traction that I've had over the past, I guess you could say, past 5-6 months.
And you're not like one of the sort of the image of the retail trader that comes in after 2020, right? I mean, you've been at this for longer than that.
Oh, since 2008. Yeah. I started my journey at Members Exchange Credit Union as a financial advisor in 2009. I started there in 2008 in the IT department, graduated to a loan officer, then to a financial advisor, and then I moved to a bigger role at Jackson Area Federal Credit Union from 2012 to 18. That's when I left.
I think it's interesting that you go from sort of the asset allocation, 401k, IRAs, thinking about, they probably gave you like certain, here's the percentages you should think about and ranges, to go from that to more the stock picking and going kind of more aggressive on that. Was there something that clicked for you that said, okay, if I'm going to really be different, I have to take a high conviction type of trade?
Absolutely. Because the thing with the trades that I find, usually they're before the crowd gets there, right? And with me having the conviction that I have, I always looked at it like it's brought me to this moment here, right? I'm telling people that your testimony will be my story, right? And it's not going to be just a Norris thing. Like it's a multitude of people that was able to, get in at the point that we were able to get into now that they're able to kind of coach people on, hey, this is how we found it, right? And I just hope that, whatever we get out of what we're getting, of course, we're getting money, of course. Right. That's the main objective. But I just hope that we're able to, get collectively a lot more people to be interested in investing, period, not depending on, the 401k. Maybe you can add an extra allocation of your own and start, managing your own future, right? And that's what I'm looking to get done. I had one guy, he put $100 into NVIDIA, and then he flipped the $100 from NVIDIA, which turned into like $2,800. He put it into Carvana, and he has over 10,000 in his Carvana play that started with $100. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the new high conviction ideas that you're starting to pay attention to for next year. Anything that's kind of getting up on your radar?
And I've started developing, I'm loving the traction that it's getting, but of course, I'll go with the stables. Well, they're not stables because I don't pick stables, right? I like to add stables to my portfolio, but when we're talking about high conviction, high growth, of course, I have Tesla. I called the bottom of MicroStrategy when that happened because, you have to set yourself up to be ahead of the curve before it happens, right? And I got into MicroStrategy based off of the Bitcoin bottom that I called at 15,000. That was very accurate. That was very accurate. MSTR, that was 114. Tesla, I called it inverse head and shoulder, and I got it right at the right wing of the inverse head and shoulder on that. That was great. But the highest conviction when you're talking about turnover, dollar for dollar, I'm looking at Lucid Automotive.
Lucid is somewhat about it, yeah.
Lucid is somewhat around the 270 range as we speak today. I haven't had the opportunity to check into it too much today. But if you look at it, things are starting to turn in the right direction for them. They have a lot of investors that are backing them. If you're looking at the production versus the cars that were created over the past quarter over quarter, year over year, now the cars that are created are lesser than the demand, right? So they've, established some new buildings that they're creating, and they also have set a lot of, contracts that they should have with Saudi Arabia and, creating some cars out there for the police unit. I think it's somewhere in the range of 10 grand, right? And they have the ability to do that in a year setting over year 2 when they start their production up, right? So that should take the production numbers up over 2x just alone, right? And the cash that they have on hand is an asset as well.
Norris, for those who want to track more of your thoughts, more of your work, where'd you point it to?
I put them on Twitter. Twitter is, you can find me at Norris Powell 13. I also have a channel on YouTube. It'll be Stock Check with Norris Powell on YouTube.
This is Michael Guyad here at the NASDAQ celebrating the launch of the Granite Shares Yield Boost Fund Family through the Tesla TSYY ETF. And thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you sign up to the Substack for Granite Shares at graniteshares.substack.com.